Rob, what's the matter, honey? Your teacher has written that you are having a hard time adjusting to the new school and making friends. Rob looked at his mother with a pained expression on his face. They were seated at their kitchen table. Talk to me, honey. Tim and I thought it was a nice school. There were a few more girls than boys, but at 17 Rob had been in mixed schools before and seemed to have friends of both sexes. But he never had got close to anyone. Vanessa was a divorcee who had met Tim at an intercompany meeting and had hit it off. Tim was a VP based in the head office. After some months of long-distance romancing, Vanessa had agreed to move in with Rob to Tim's house near company headquarters. Tim was more than able to support his family and did his best to befriend Rob. Vanessa knew that Rob was a shy and skinny kid who had been badly affected by the divorce some 7 years earlier. Until Tim came on the scene, it was just Rob and Vanessa. There's nothing to say, Mom. We say hi, but nobody wants to talk to a new guy. They all have their little groups. Rob looked sad. I can't believe that, his mom said. When we walked through the school, many said hi to you. Vanessa felt there was more, but it seemed Rob wasn't ready to talk. What about that girl Alex who showed us around? She's in your class, isn't she? Yes, Rob replied hesitantly. Well, what about her? She seemed nice. Well, Rob's voice trailed off. She's nice and talks to me, Rob continued, reluctant to explain more. Come on, honey, I know there's more. Please. I want you to be happy here. If you don't like it, we can move back. I want you to be happy. Tim too, and if we have to manage long distance, we'll manage. No, Mom, I don't want to go back. Well then, tell me more about Alex. Well, we talk, but she is always with her girlfriends. I am the only boy in the group. You lucky boy. All those girls around you. Are the other boys jealous? Vanessa was happy that Rob was having female contact. She worried about him. What then are you worried about? Seems you should be happy. Don't they want to hang out with you? After a pause, Rob said, Yes, Mum, but they want to do things I don't want to do. They had better not be getting you into trouble, Vanessa said sternly. No, Mom, but they want to go to the mall and hang out, or they go to a girl's house. They do invite me. So why don't you go if they ask you? They may also like to do something you suggest. There was a shyness about Rob that was hard to overcome. I look different to girls in the group. I am the only boy. Are the boys being nasty because you hang out with the girls? Vanessa asked, suspecting there was more to the story and Rob's reluctance to get involved. Rob's silence spoke more than his words. Vanessa didn't want to push him, but Rob needed to learn to fight for himself. She needed to find a solution. She couldn't bear to see Rob in such a state. Rob, I know it's difficult, but please promise me you'll tell me if anybody bullies or says anything bad. Promise me? Rob looked at her, a pained expression on his face. I will, he said softly and went to his room. Vanessa saw his slim frame disappear. She needed to do something. The next day, Vanessa called the school and, on the pretext of wanting to thank Alex for the school tour, obtained her contact details. Vanessa sent her a SMS and asked for Alex to call confidentially. Alex called back that afternoon and they decided to meet mid-morning the next day at a coffee shop. Alex had a different class than Rob at that time and had a free period. Alex was punctual, and over coffee Vanessa mentioned her concerns about Rob. She mentioned that even moving back was an option as she couldn't bear to see her Rob unhappy. Vanessa asked Alex if Rob had any issues with anyone at school. On the contrary, Alex replied. Her clique of friends liked Rob. Tessa had even asked Rob to go with her to movies. But Rob seemed reluctant. I know he likes her. The group always met at Tessa's on Friday evenings. Rob was invited but never showed up. What do you do at these events? Vanessa inquired. Well, we order pizza, listen to music, dance, and just relax. Maybe Rob is not comfortable as the only boy in the group. I do think that's it, Alex replied. I know he is a little shy, but he manages to join in. I think he may have heard some comments from the boys about hanging out with us, but that's because they are jealous. Oh dear, I thought he may have an issue with bullies. Alex, I would appreciate it if you would encourage him to do things with you guys. I know he will not fit in with those bully boys. Of course we will. I'll have a quiet word with Tessa. We're best friends and I know they like each other. Thanks, Alex, Vanessa said. Let me know if there's anything I can do. I really am concerned about him. Don't worry, we'll do everything we can. We all like Rob. He's also helped us with schoolwork. We are planning a birthday for Allison this Friday. I'll ask Tessa to call Rob and invite him. It's Wednesday, so we have time. Alex said goodbye and left. Vanessa walked back to the car deep in thought. She had to be careful and didn't want to push Rob. At 17, he should have come out of his shell and be comfortable around his peers. She would discuss with Tim. Vanessa knew Rob had not been entirely happy before either, but she had hoped the change would have been good. If necessary, she would have to move back. That evening at dinner, Rob was quiet. They talked about their day. Just as dinner was over, Rob's cell phone rang. He looked at his phone, excused himself, and left the table. Tim and I looked at each other, not wanting to react to something unknown. 10 minutes later, Rob returned. It was hard to understand his mood. He knew Tim and Vanessa were waiting. He took a bite of food and without looking at us said, "That was Tessa inviting me to a birthday party for Allison on Friday." There was a pause. "That's nice, honey," Vanessa said. "That's nice. We should buy her a present." "I am not sure I want to go," Rob said, taking another spoonful of pie. "Okay," Tim and Vanessa said simultaneously. "Let us know so we have time to get her something." "Okay," came the terse reply. It was Wednesday. He needed to decide. Thursday dawned and the day passed. Rob still didn't seem happy. It is hard for a parent to wait patiently for their offspring to decide. At dinner that night, Vanessa asked, "So how was your day, Rob?" Rob looked at them. "I said I would go tomorrow. Tessa asked me especially. Is that okay?" "Yes, of course," they said in unison. "Alex will pick me up, but she may stay over at Tessa's. Can I call for you to pick me up?" "It won't be later than 11, I guess." "No problem," Vanessa said. "If you are later, just call. Next day is Saturday, so you can sleep late." She didn't want to express her hidden elation and suppressed a smile. She looked at Tim with a hidden smile. "Any idea what you want to get Allison as a present?" "No," he said quietly. "Maybe give her an Amazon gift card. Then she can buy what she wants." "Okay," Vanessa said. "Use my card." Thanks, Rob muttered. Have to finish some homework. He took his plate to the kitchen counter and went to his room. Vanessa and Tim looked at each other. It seemed that her meeting Alex was productive. They would talk about it later. Friday rolled on. Nothing was said. Rob got Allison a gift card using Vanessa's credit card. At 6 p.m. promptly Alex knocked on the door. Vanessa opened the door with a smile and whispered thanks as Alex walked in. Rob came down in a polo shirt and jeans with gift card envelope in hand. He smiled at Alex with a shy hi. Call when you are ready, Vanessa said. We'll pick you up. I can drop you off too. But I helped Tessa clean, so I'm the last to leave. If you want to wait, I can drop you back. Alex was being very helpful. Well, call if you need. Otherwise, come back with Alex. Have fun. Vanessa watched them leave, a smile on her lips. Hopefully this would be a new beginning. Tim and Vanessa discussed this positive change and they hoped it would continue. They were each speculating on when Rob would come back. Vanessa had her cell phone nearby waiting for Rob's call. At around 11 p.m. Vanessa's cell rang. She could hear loud music in the background. Rob quietly informed her that he would come home with Alex. He wasn't sure what time. Vanessa fell asleep content that finally Rob appeared happy. The next morning Vanessa looked and saw a sleeping form. She was happy to see Rob sleeping peacefully. She let him sleep. It was past noon when she heard the patter of feet and the bathroom door closing. She would see how the evening went. She went to his room and removed his bed linen for their weekly wash. She noticed some stains on the pillowcase. Just as she had removed the linen, Rob's cell phone pinged. Vanessa looked at the images that came through. It was of two girls, one a redhead and one a blonde. Both were smiling, arms around each other. The blonde had bright red lipstick. Vanessa smiled. That girl may have been the source of the stains on Rob's case. She looked very pretty and happy. It would be good for Rob to have a nice girlfriend. Silently she took the linen down to the basement for washing. She inspected the pillowcase again. There were traces of red like lipstick marks with faint black streaks above. Vanessa smiled to herself. She hoped Rob had enjoyed his first kiss. She smiled at the thought. Her boy was growing up. Rob came down for lunch. He was quiet. So how did the party go? Vanessa asked. She watched his reaction. What did you guys get up to? Tessa ordered pizza. We talked, listened to music. There was dancing. Rob said this quietly. Vanessa smiled at the thought of Rob dancing. She almost forgot the images she had seen earlier. Vanessa had never met the other girls, so she could be mistaken. Then again, the telltale signs on the pillowcase confused her. Did you have a good time? With so many girls around you, how did you feel? Did you dance with the girls? Yes, it was okay, Rob responded quietly. He didn't want this line of questioning. Tim and I are going to dinner and the movies. Want to join? No, Mom. Tessa and Allison have asked me to go to the mall at 2:30 or so. They will pick me up. There is a big party next Saturday after the last hockey game of the season. Allison's brother is on the team and invited Allison and her friends. They want to buy some stuff. So we'll probably hang out and go for a burger or something. Vanessa was reassured. 2 girls coming to pick Rob up sounded good. She would be glad to meet the 2 girls and learn who was who. Perhaps they were the 2 girls in the image. On the other hand, she wondered how Rob would fit in with some big hockey guys. She was surprised that the girls wanted Rob along shopping. But she knew things were different these days. Do you need to get anything? You have nice shirts and slacks you hardly wear. Don't think so, Mum. I have everything. Rob seemed a little uncommunicative, but he may have been trying to live up to the expectations of 2 or more school hotties. Take some cash and buy them dinner. They are very nice to include you. Okay. Rob appeared to be in a morose mood. Yet he seemed to have had a good time last night. As planned, there was a knock on the door around 2:30. Vanessa hovered near the door as she wanted to invite the girls in. The 2 girls were indeed attractive, one with red hair that introduced herself as Tessa. The other black-haired girl was Allison. Vanessa's mind went over to the images on Rob's phone. She recognized Tessa with her abundant red hair. But she couldn't place the blonde. Vanessa invited them in and called out to Rob. Thanks for including Rob in your plans. He says he had a good time last night. The girl smiled back and just said, "Oh, yes." No problem, said Tessa. Rob is fun when he gets going. Hi, Rob, the girl said as Rob descended the stairs. Have fun at the mall, Vanessa said. We will. Need to go home and change quickly and we'll be off. Allison smiled and led the way out. Vanessa heard the words and was glad Rob would be in the company of several cheerful and pretty girls. It would do a lot for Rob's self-confidence. The Valley Mall was large and had many small boutiques and the well-known department stores. Vanessa mentioned to Tim that Rob would not be joining them for dinner and the movie after he returned from an afternoon of golf with his friends. Good, glad he is getting to know the girls. He thought it was time that Rob got used to female company. He envied him in the company of so many young beauties. Vanessa smiled too that her Rob was coming of age and tried to put the gnawing misgivings out of her mind. Rob wasn't happy. She couldn't put her finger on it. She hadn't told Tim about what she had found on the pillowcase and the images on Rob's cell phone. She didn't want her son to be affected by any comments Tim might make, even in jest. As they discussed plans for dinner, Vanessa asked Tim if they could stop off at the mall for a few minutes. She needed a special color lipstick available only at Bloomingdale's. Tim had no problem and they left a little earlier than scheduled to allow this stop. The mall was busy at this hour. They found parking and went inside. Tim thought that perhaps he could visit the pro golf shop whilst Vanessa bought her cosmetic. They agreed to meet at a popular bar/eatery that was located near an entrance to the mall in about 30 minutes. Vanessa hurried to Bloomingdale's. She did want the lipstick, but there was no urgency to buy it. With keen glances in all directions, she strolled toward the store. At the cosmetics counter, she located her lipstick and paid for it thoughtfully. She collected her purchases and wandered toward the bar where she was to meet Tim. It was easy to not stand out with so many around her. Tim wasn't there, but she found a place at a long counter with glass-fronted view of the shoppers passing by. She ordered her drink and chided herself for such doubts about Rob. He was shy and that is who he was. Tim joined her and they ordered drinks. They decided to go to a little Italian restaurant not far from the movie house. Tim paid, and as they were exiting the bar, 4 girls walked by, chattering loudly, arms linked. Vanessa looked. She recognized Tessa and Allison. 2 other girls were with them. Where was Rob? One was very similar to the blonde girl in the pictures Rob had received. There was something familiar about that girl. She was dressed in a pink blouse with short puff sleeves, tight black skirt and wedge sandals. She had the developing bust of a 17-year-old. Just like the others, her face was well made up with bright lipstick, dark eyeshadow and long earrings hanging from her ears. Her antennae went up. She was sure it was Rob, dressed as a girl, walking confidently with her friends. The more she observed them, she became convinced that it was her Rob. She quickly turned around to avoid meeting them. For loudly chattering girls were commonplace in these malls, but there was no mistaking Tessa and Allison. The blonde face was indelibly printed on her mind, Rob. The fourth girl, black-haired with a pageboy cut, was unknown to her. Vanessa was not sure how to express her emotions or feelings. She couldn't tell Tim yet, and she didn't think she could confront Rob. He would need to tell her when he was ready. She grabbed Tim's arm and dragged him away to the car. Confusion, disappointment and a sense of frustration that it was her fault raced through her mind. How did Rob come to be dressed as a girl in a busy mall? Dinner and the movie went by in a trance. One thing struck her hard: Rob seemed very happy and alive, chattering away like the others, all having a good time. She had not seen him like this in a long time. This only increased her confusion. Vanessa and Tim returned home. Seeing her preoccupation, Tim did not try to force himself on her. He held her tight and fell asleep. Vanessa lay motionless, blaming herself for Rob's behavior. There was no other explanation. She had neglected her son. She fell into a restless sleep and didn't hear Rob come in. Vanessa rose early and sat in her robe at the kitchen table. She had gently opened Rob's door and seen the form under the blanket. She was happy he was home but needed to know more desperately. Yet she also knew that confrontation would not serve her. She had to encourage Rob to open up to her. She was thankful that Tim had another day of golf planned and would be out most of the day. This was a habit from his bachelor days, and Vanessa was pleased as it gave her more time with Rob. Vanessa took a long shower, trying to wash away her thoughts and confusion. She felt better, but her confusion remained as she dressed in comfortable slacks and blouse and busied herself with meaningless tasks. It was almost noon when she heard the shower. Rob was up. She had to control herself. Mess it up and she would lose Rob's trust completely. It took some time for her to hear him come down the stairs. "Would you like some eggs? Toast? Juice?" she asked, not looking at him. No answer. She turned to face him, trying hard to control her emotions. She wanted to hug him and tell him everything would be okay. They stared at each other. "What's that I see in your ears?" Vanessa asked. "Did you get your ears pierced?" Rob looked at her with a mournful look. "Yes, Kirsty was getting a second piercing and they asked me to have my ears pierced too." Rob was almost in tears. Vanessa stared at the two small studs in his ears. She couldn't take it any longer and rushed over and crushed him to her. They stayed that way for a few minutes and Vanessa felt Rob relax and hug her back. "We'll have to explain this to Tim slowly," she said quietly. "Rob, I need the truth. Did they force you?" "Mom, no, I wanted it. I liked their earrings and thought they would suit me. Some boys have both their ears pierced too." Still hugging him, she asked, "Did you wear makeup yesterday? I see some stains around your eyes and mouth." She held him away from her for a moment to confirm. Rob looked frightened. She pulled him to her again. "I told you that you can tell me anything. You're my life. Another long hug followed. Rob, be honest with me. You know I love you. Did anyone force you? Another long silent hug followed. No, Mom, nobody forced me. I liked it and wanted to try it. Okay. I am trying to understand. I don't care as long as you are happy. That is all I care about. Now sit down and tell me how and when this started. How long have you been doing this? I am going to make some eggs and toast for you and coffee for me. So tell me. Rob stared at his mother. She was trying to smile and didn't appear mad. You know, Tessa invited me to their Friday event. I was the only boy. There were 6 girls. They were talking about girl things like clothes and makeup. They asked me what I thought. I told them I had no idea. Kirsten then suggested that I should learn about such stuff if I wanted to hang out with them. Tessa and Allison said they had an idea. The others should listen to music, and they took me to Tessa's bedroom. They removed my clothes except my underpants. They put a bra with some pads on me and gave me a blouse and skirt. I put them on. Then Allison started to apply makeup to my face. Tessa went upstairs to her parents' rooms and brought down a box and things. Allison finished my face. Tessa pulled a wig from the box. It was blonde and they put it on my head. Tessa also had some earrings which they clipped on. Then they gave me some open sandals. When I looked in the mirror, I thought I was beautiful. They loved Roberta, as they called me. We went to the others and they all hugged me and told Annie I looked very pretty. I felt good and they showed me how to walk in the sandals. They even taught me to dance. I had a great time. That was the first time. Yesterday, when they picked me up, they asked if I wanted to dress before going to the mall. I said yes. Tessa found some stuff but said I needed to buy something to hide my thing. We couldn't find anything to do that, but she had a very tight panty that I used. We had fun at the mall looking at. Kirsty wanted a second piercing and suggested I should get mine done too, as there was more choice of earrings. That's when I decided to get my ears pierced. Sorry, Mom. I know it's not normal, but I like it just like my friends. Is it okay? His pleading look tore at Vanessa. She looked at her son. It had taken a lot of courage to get him to open up, and her heart went out to him. She hugged him again. Rob or Roberta, I don't care. I want you to talk to me. As long as nobody forced you, and this is something you really want to do, I will accept and even help you. Rob's demeanor changed. Immediately. A wave of contentment sweeping over him. Remember, you have to be careful in school. Your friends will help, but don't be surprised if boys laugh at you. Vanessa placed the toast and boiled eggs in front of Rob. Please eat, she said. He got up. 1 minute, he said, and went to his room. He was back in a flash, cell phone in hand. He looked at his mother and showed her pictures taken on the Friday and also yesterday. Roberta looked like any 17-year-old, and there was a sparkle in her eye. She seemed at ease with her friends. I am so glad to have a son and daughter, she said softly. Do you have any of this clothes and stuff with you now? What do you have? She looked at Rob. He had just finished his meal and looked at her crestfallen. It was late, so I came home dressed as I was for the mall. I have everything except the makeup. They're Tessa's clothes and we can't throw them. Vanessa smiled at him reassuringly. Rob thought she was going to throw them away. Vanessa noticed the change in his face. No, baby, don't worry. I want you to go and dress in those clothes. We'll apply a little makeup and then go shopping. I want my daughter looking her best when she meets Tim tonight. Can we buy something for that party next week? Tessa said she can give me some things, but... Wow. Now I have to find a pretty party dress for my girl. We'll need to get you some shoes and underwear. Maybe also some pads so you are the same size as the other girls. Just make sure the boys keep their hands off you. Mom, Rob shouted. I know, Rob. But at 17 at parties there were boys that wanted a little more from me, and it gets worse at parties. What will you do if a boy comes on to you? A girl has to be ready. Rob stared into space and then looked intently at Vanessa. She could see him searching his soul. Mom, all the girls know who I really am. They like me as a girl. Tessa and Allison will stay close to me. They know that if something happens, they too will be blamed for hanging out with a girl like me. If some boys try something, Allison's brother will protect me. Rob had a point. Vanessa wasn't sure what would happen if Roberta liked the boy, but that was something that she would need to deal with in her own way. Oh, to be 17 again, she thought. Rob stood up and came to her. The hug that followed was intense. Thanks, Mom, he said softly. You really don't mind? Go and change. I am almost ready. We have a lot to do before Tim gets home. Rob ran upstairs to change. Vanessa had tears in her eyes. She sent Tim a text not to hurry home as she would be out. She would have a surprise for him around 5:30. She knew she may have to force Tim to accept Rob and Roberta. If not, he would need to find another partner.